Hello viewers, welcome to Fitness and Tech Insights. This is our lesson 7 in our Autocad series. So if you're seeing our video for the first time, we request that you go back and follow it up from lesson 1 up to this point, so for clarity and better understanding. And please, most importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you. And if you've been following us before now and you're yet to subscribe, we're also requesting that you please hit the subscribe button. It actually won't cost you a dime. Okay, so we go straight into the business of today. Now, today we want to look at how to perform operations like extrude, loft, revolve, and sweep. And like we did in our last class, I've already set my drawing environment. You can see I have my top viewport here, and below it I have my front viewport. This is my right viewport, and this is my southeast isometric viewport. Okay, so we learned how to configure these viewports in our last class. Okay, now we're going to pick the first 3D modeling tool, and that is extrude. Now, we normally use extrude to draw objects that have edges. So whenever we are dealing with edgy objects, we will always want to use the extrude tool. Okay, so by means of practice, we are going to try and draw a very simple table with our extrude tool. So now I decide where I want to start. Remember, we said that where you're starting is very, very important when you're drawing three-dimensional objects. Okay, so since we want our table to stand, we want our table to be in the standing position, we want the top of our table to be on the top viewport. So we are going to start this drawing on the top viewport. Okay, so I am going to draw a table, or the top of the table on this top viewport. All right, you can see my blue edges, so it means that my top viewport is already activated. Now, when we are drawing three-dimensional objects, we would rather want to use polyline. Now, we don't draw with the conventional line. Instead, we draw with polyline. Or if we cannot, if the profile is a little bit complex that we may find it difficult drawing with polyline, we could still draw with line and convert it to polyline before extruding. Now, what polyline does is that it treats the entire line segments as one. Now, that's the difference between polyline and a normal line. If we draw with polyline, it treats the entire line segment as one, and we can perform the extrude operation. But if we draw with line, now the individual line segments are going to be seen as different objects, and that would be very, very difficult for us to extrude. Okay, so now we pick our polyline, and then we are going to draw the top of the table. I'm going to go to my task pane, and then I'm going to ensure that my auto is switched on. Okay, so I can draw with any dimension. It says specify start point. So from here I can draw. Let's make this length. Okay, so let's make this length 20. Enter, and then let's make the width, let's say 10. Enter, and again this way I go another 20. Enter, and I'm going to close up this and then hit my enter. So as you can see, I have the top of my table. The length is 20 mm and the width is 10 mm. Okay, now let me go to every other viewport and ensure that I'm seeing this table I've drawn. Okay, so I go to my front viewport, this top now. Okay, so I zoom in until I see the line. Of course, it's going to look just like a straight line in this viewport. The same thing on the right, and also on my southeast isometric. So I want to be seeing what I'm doing in all viewports all the same time. Okay, now if I hover around this, can you see? Okay, let's say I could select this. Can you see? It selects the entire line segment as one. That is the essence of drawing with polyline. Okay, I'm going to escape because I did a selection. Now we are going to extrude. Okay, now I'm going to click on the extrude tool. Now look at my command line. Let's read together. Select objects to extrude. Now what do I want to extrude? I want to extrude this rectangle that I have drawn to make it a solid. Okay, because when I extrude, it gives it a height or a thickness. So I'm going to select it and hit my enter. And now it's asking specify height of extrusion. Can you see there's already a preview? So as I'm adjusting, the height is adjusting. But we want to work with a definite height. So I'm going to use 3 mm as my height. Okay, 3. So I'm going to tap 3, hit press 3 and hit my enter. Okay, so I have my table. Okay, let's come to the southeast isometric and zoom into it, so you can see we have the top of our table here. All right, now the next thing I want to do is to draw my the legs of my table. Okay, so I want to draw the legs of my table, the 4 legs. Now I'll go back to my top view. Now let's assume that the cross section of this leg is going to be a square of let's say 2 mm, or let's use the same 3 mm. So we say this cross is going to be a square of 3 mm by 3 mm, the cross section. Okay, so let's use the same square. Now look at this. We are going to draw the 4 cross sections at once, so that we are going to use just one extrude operation to extrude all 4 legs. Okay, so now I'm going to pick my polyline and I'll start from this edge. I'm not exactly drawing on this, but I'm just using this as guides. Don't worry, when we finish drawing, you're going to understand what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to go this way. We said we want to draw square of what? 3 mm by 3 mm. So I'm going to go 3, enter. Okay, now this way, 3, enter. I'll move up 3, enter, and finally I'm going to close it up, enter. Okay, so I have one leg. Now I'll repeat the same thing here. Again, I go my polyline, I pick my polyline again for this one, and then I repeat again. I'm going to go we said 3, enter, then we go this way, 3, enter, 3, enter, and we close it up. Okay, and then hit my enter. So I'm repeating that again for this side, so I go 3, enter, 3, enter, 3, enter, and finally I close up. And for the last leg, I'm going to go again. I'm going to start from here. Go 3, enter, 3, enter, and this way, 3, enter, and finally we close it up with the last 3 mm. Okay, so I have 4 legs. Okay, I'm going to come back to this. When I extrude, it's going to be quite easy. Okay, so now I'm going to perform the extrude operation again. So I'm going to click on extrude, and remember again, it says select objects to extrude. Now the objects I want to extrude, I'm going to select the 4 legs I just drew. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, I think there's a mistake here. As you can see, I used the same. I think I used the same polyline to draw this too. So I'm going to escape and repeat this. Can you see this? Oh, I used one polyline here. Okay, this is not good. So I'm going to break it up. So let's try the trim. I say trim, enter, and let's try the trim, and we break this. Okay, so good. So now let me highlight this. Can you see now this is separate? Okay, so let's go back to our extrude. So we say our extrude, select objects. I'm going to select this, and this. Okay, then after my selection, I'm definitely going to hit the enter button. So I hit the enter. Now specify height. I'm going to specify height of extrusion. I'm going to specify the height of extrusion, and then okay, as you can see, I drew from here. So we are going to use, since we want the leg to go down, I'm going to use I want it to go in the opposite direction, so I'm going to put a minus sign there. So we are going to use minus. What length are we going to use? Okay, let's use another. Okay, let's use 15 this time around. 15, enter. Okay, can you see the legs have gone downwards? Now I don't know why I have two legs extruded. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the same thing for these other ones. I'm not sure I did this, so I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to select this, and then I hit the extrude again. Okay. Okay, so now, okay, now I can't perform the extrude operation, I think, because of the issue we had. So okay, now I'm going to redraw these two. Don't worry, let's delete this and delete this, and then we are going to redraw it. Okay, I've deleted them, so we are going to redraw it. Okay, so now I'm going to select my polyline. I have my 3 mm this way. I go downwards 3 mm, I go this way 3 mm, I go this way, and then I close it up. So then I'm going to escape. Okay, now I'm going to select another polyline, and then we start again. I think that was where we got it wrong the last time. I'm going to go my 3, so we go 3 mm, enter. Oh wow. Okay. Okay, so I think so I'm selecting my polyline, and then I'm starting again. So we go 3, enter. We go this way, 3, enter. 3, enter, and we close it up. Okay, close it up, escape. Okay, so now I'm going to select my extrudes, and I will select this and this. Okay, then I hit my enter. Okay, so now as you can see, I have the two legs. Okay, so remember it's going in the opposite direction normally. So I want to extrude. I'm going to add the minus sign to extrude it downwards. So minus, we did 15 for the first two legs, so we are doing the same 15 for these other two legs. Okay, so I have my table. All right, so I want to take a look at this in my what is it called, in my southeast isometric viewport. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into it a little. Okay, so you can see what we have, and then I'm going to check it also here. So this is the front view of the table, and this is the right side view of the table. Okay, so we have a table, all of it drawn from beginning to end with extrude. Now it doesn't end here. You're going to see that now if we select this top, you see that this top is a separate body, this leg is a separate body, this leg is a separate body, this leg is a separate body, and this is a separate body. So it is still not one table. Yes, they are aligned, they are in shape, but it is the system, the software is still understanding each part as a separate body. So now we have to union it. If not, when we try to move this table or perform any action on it, it's going to scatter. Okay, so now we are going to union it. So we are going to come to our solid editing. No, not here, not here. Yes, it's still under our solid editing. I think this is union. Can you see where my cursor is? Solid union. So I'm going to select union. Okay, I'm going to select union, and then it's going to say select objects. Now all the objects I want to union, I think it's easier to select in this my top viewport. So I'm going to come back to it, and then I'm going to select all the objects. I'm highlighting all of it. Can you see? So I'm checking in all the viewports. They are all highlighted. So I enter. Now I think I have done justice to that. Okay, so now can you see? Now we go back to this isometric. Now if I click any part of the table, the entire table is highlighted. Can you see it? I'm going to escape. I come back to any viewport, like in my front viewport, I click one part of the leg, the entire table is highlighted. So now it is one body, and that is what we want to achieve. Okay, so that is how to use our extrude tool. Subsequently, we are still going to deal with more complex shapes, but let's move on to loft right now. Now we use the loft. Okay, so we use the loft when we want to draw objects that have circular cross profiles, circular cross sections, but with different diameters. So when an object has circular cross sections but circles of different diameter make up the cross section, then loft is likely the tool you may want to use to draw such an object. Okay, now for the purpose of this practice, we are going to try to draw a funnel. Now we are going to draw a funnel using loft. Okay, we are going to draw a funnel using loft. Now the first thing we are going to try to do is, now we are going to when we want to draw loft, we are going to draw circles, concentric circles with their different diameters, and then we arrange them. We're going to arrange them at their various heights. Okay, we arrange them at their various heights, and then we perform the loft. We can perform the loft either in ascending order or in descending order, but it has to follow a pattern. Now let's go straight to action. Okay, so I want to draw a funnel. Now let's say we are drawing a funnel of, let's say, the base circle of the funnel. That's the smaller diameter of the circle of the funnel should be, we could use let's say 6 mm. Yes, let's use 6 mm for the smaller diameter of the funnel, and then for the top part, the large side, we could use, what are we going to use now? Okay, so let's use 15 for the large side of the funnel. So the bottom of the funnel, that's the smaller diameter of the funnel, we are going to use 6, and then the larger diameter of the funnel, we are going to use 15. Okay, so now we move straight into action. Like I said earlier, now I'm going to pick my circle. Remember, if we also want the funnel to be in the standing direction, the same way we have our table, so we are also going to draw from the top viewport. It's not always the most we're drawing from the top viewport. It depends on the orientation. So I hope maybe while we proceed, I hope we are going to see a reason to draw from another viewport, so we can prove that drawing from the top is not always conventional. Okay, so I'm going to pick a circle. Remember, let's start from the lower part of the funnel. So I'm going to pick a circle, and it says specify center point. Okay, here, and we said we are going to use 6 mm as diameter for the lower side. So I say D, enter, 6, enter. Okay, now I have a circle of 6 mm. Okay, again, let me go and look for this circle in my other viewports. Good. Okay, I've seen it here. Definitely it's going to be a line here. Okay, I'm trying to look for it here. I'm finding it difficult to see it. Okay, there's something I can do. If I select it, if it's highlighted, oh, can you see? It's easier to find. It's easier to, okay, so in my right viewport, it's inside the table. So we're going to have to move it out. We're going to have to move it out a little. Okay, so I'm going to select my move. Yeah, let's move it out. We want it to stand alone. We don't want to get confused. Good, so I've moved it out. Okay, thank you. So this is my funnel here, and of course I've also seen it in my southeast isometric. So I go back to my top view to look for it. Okay, so this is it. So now we have the circle in all the viewports, so we can proceed. So I get back to my top viewport. Now remember that the lower diameter has this funnel, if we decide to call it the leg or whatever, it's going to have a height. Okay, so it's going to have a height. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my front viewport. I want to duplicate this particular circle through a particular height. So let's say if we are giving the funnel height, let's give the funnel height, let's say 7 mm. Let's give it 7 mm. Okay, so now I'm going to come to my front viewport. Now I'm going to select the circle, and then I'm going to copy it. Okay, so this is copy. I'm going to copy it, and can you see, select base point? So I want to copy it from center because I just want, and then I'm going to move 7. Okay, good. So I have moved it through 7 mm. Okay, I've moved the funnel through 7 mm. That's the height. Now I have another circle. So okay, 7 and escape. So you can see I have the 2 circles in all the viewports. Remember, in the top viewport, since they have the same center line, it's going to be, one will be superimposed on the other. So we are going to be seeing both as one circle in the top viewport. But we are not going to be bothered because other viewports have done justice to this. So you can see the importance of creating these viewports before you start your drawing. Okay, now to the next point. Now the next thing I want to draw is I want to draw another circle of now the large diameter this time around, and we said we are going to use 15 as the big diameter. Okay, we said we are going to use 15. Now in the top viewport, I'm going to, because that's where we normally draw a circle. So I'm already on the top viewport, so I'm going to pick a circle. I'm going to use the same center. Okay, Good. So I'm going to use the same center and I say V, enter, 15, enter. Good. So I have a circle of 15 mm diameter. Now I want to look at it in these viewports. Now, from my front and my right viewport, you can see that this my circle is, you discover that this my circle is on the same line with the base circle. That's the first 6 mm circle I drew. Okay, now we are going to move it upwards through 14 mm because we want it to stay 7 mm above the second circle we drew. Okay, so from here I'm going to select this circle and I'm going to move. Okay, I'm also going to start from center because I want to move it linearly upwards. So I'm going to move it by 14. Enter. Okay, so can you see what we have? Remember to always cross-check in all the viewports to be sure you're getting what you want. Good. Always cross-check in all the viewports. This is very, very necessary. Always cross-check in all the viewports. Okay, and then finally we want to repeat this our 15 mm circle by a little height, so that it's going to have a little height, so that when we are pouring liquid in that top, it doesn't spill. Okay, so because it's like a hopper, it's going to hold the liquid, so we're going to put a little height to it so that when we pour liquid, it doesn't spill. Okay, so I come back to my front viewport, select this 15 mm diameter circle that I just drew, and then I'm just going to move through a height of, let's just use 2. Let's just use 2. We just want to give it a little height so that it can hold liquid when we are pouring it. Okay, so I'm going to move it, and then I'm going to, of course, definitely from the center, then 2, enter. Okay, so have I done justice to that? Have I done justice? I don't understand what I did last. I'm not sure I understood what I did last. Okay, I'm not sure I understood. I didn't see the move happen, so I'm going to repeat it again. I'm going to repeat it. So I'm selecting it and then I'm saying move. Okay, specify base points as specified, then I move, and then I'm using, if 2 is going to be too small, maybe I'm going to use 3, enter. Oh my word. Okay, now I was moving instead of copying. That means the first one I did actually worked. Okay, so I'm going to do Ctrl Z and I'm going to do another Ctrl Z. Okay, so we've returned to this. Sorry, we were moving instead of copying. I don't know why I'm absent-minded. Please bear with me. Okay, so we're going to select this circle and copy. Okay, so we are going to copy and from the center. Okay, and we are using 2. Let's stick to our initial to enter. Okay, thank you. So you can see I have given it a little height and then I will escape. Okay, so now we look at all the viewports. Okay, so our profile is ready. So we can loft. Okay, now I'm going to loft either on the front view, the right view, or the isometric, because that's where we are seeing all 4 circles. We definitely can't loft from the top view because we are not seeing all the 4 circles, because we are going to be picking them one by one. Okay, so I go to my modeling tools, I click on the arrow, it gives me the loft tool. So I'm going to select the loft. Now it said select cross sections in lofting order. Remember what I said earlier, the order could be ascending, the order could be descending. Okay, so let's start from the top most. So we select this one, we select the next one. Please don't jump your selections. 2, we select the next one. 3, and we select the last one. 4. Okay, so you can see I have my funnel. So what do I do? I said select cross. Okay, so I'm done with my selection, so I'm going to say enter. Okay, so can you see what we have? Can you see? Let's go to loft, enter. Okay, we are using cross section only. We don't want to do any other thing to this. We don't want to perform any other cross, so we are just going to use cross sections only. Okay, so I hit my enter again. So we have lofted it. Okay, so can you see what we have? Okay, so we have our funnel, but now the funnel is still a solid and it has to be hollow because water or any other liquid has to pass through it. Okay, so we are going to shell this funnel. We are going to shell this funnel. Now look at what we do. We come to solid editing. Look at this, our separate. If we click on this arrow, we are going to see the shell too. So we are going to select shell. So it says select a 3D solid. Now let's do this in our isometric viewport because that's where we can see the object clearer. Okay, so we select this obviously as the object we want to shell. You can see that immediately we selected, the instruction in the command line changes to remove faces. So I'm going to click on this top face. I want to remove this, and also the bottom face because we want it to be all true, but we can't see it. So I'm going to bring my steering wheel. I'm going to orbit. Let's turn this round. Good, to see the bottom. And okay, so I'm free from this. Okay, so I'm going to select I'm still in remove faces. I'm going to select this face, okay, and then I'll click enter. So two faces to move. Now I say enter the shell offset distance. Now this shell offset distance is basically the thickness. It's basically the thickness. So let's use a thickness of 2. Let's use a thickness of 2, okay. So, or let's use a thickness of 1 because it's still just very. So we use a thickness of 1 and we hit enter. Okay, so let's see what happens. Good. Now, okay, and so we have done it. I can escape. So I'm going to go back to orbit and I'm going to turn this my funnel around for you to see. Can you see? Good. Bingo. So this is what we have. Our funnel is open right through. So I'm trying to turn this around for you to see. This is very, very nice. So we have a funnel. Okay, good. So I'm going to escape. So I'm going to go back to my southeast isometric. Good. And now we have dealt with our table. We have handled the funnel. Okay, now we're going to look at the next tool, which is the what? The revolve. We're going to look at our next tool. That's the revolve. Now for the revolve, we are going to, for this revolve, we can see that the description for the revolve, it says create a 3D solid or surface by sweeping a 2D or 3D curve around an axis. So for the revolve, when we draw a profile and sweep it round an axis, the entire space it picks up, the entire space the boundary covers, while it turns round 360, it puts a solid in there, and that's how to use the revolve tool. But it's going to sound somehow in this explanation, but when we draw, it's going to get clearer. Okay, so now let's draw a wine glass. Okay, we are going to try to draw a wine glass using the revolve tool. Now, for you to draw revolve tool, remember you're revolving a particular profile around an axis. So before you use the revolve tool, it must be for symmetrical objects, which means that if I divide this object into 2 from this middle in an axis, what I have on one side is the exact mirror image of what I have the other side. That's the only way revolve can work. So it has to be for symmetrical objects in that axis we are revolving around. The object must be symmetrical in that axis. Okay, so we said we want to use a wine glass to demonstrate the concept of revolve. Okay, this time around, let me choose another viewport. Okay, I'm going to choose the right viewport. I don't think we've drawn from our right viewport before. So we are going to choose the right viewport now. We are drawing from our right viewport. Okay, now, what do we use to revolve? We said we use the cross section. We use half of the cross section of the object to revolve. Now, I want you to imagine a wine glass right now. Imagine a wine glass. Now, if we start a wine glass, imagine you're just sitting or standing in front of a wine glass placed on a table. Now, if we try to cut that wine glass from the middle into 2, that's vertically. If we try to cut it vertically into 2, now what cross section are we going to see? What cross section are we going to see? That's exactly what will guide us in this revolve. Then when we cut it vertically into 2, half of that cross section, that's what we are going to use to revolve. Okay, now I'm going to try and let me draw what I think I would see when I cut that wine glass into 2. If you disagree with me, if you have a different view, I'll be waiting for you in the comment section. Don't forget to come and tell us what you feel about the drawing. Okay, now this time around, because the wine glass is not straight, so I'm not going to be using lines. Let me use spline. This time. Spline enables us to draw free forms free forms. Okay, so because the wine glass is not made up of straight lines, so we're going to use splines now. Remember, we said we are drawing in our right viewport this time around. Okay, so I'm going to start. So I'm going to start. Can you see? Now, your one thing with the spline is that the spline looks like I want to draw a line, but once I draw it, I can bend it. Once I draw it, I can bend it. Okay, I'm going to put my auto off. I'm going to switch off my auto. Okay, because so that it can permit me turn it in whatever way I want. Okay, so I'm just going to drop it here. Can you see? Once I release it, I can play around with it. Once I click, I can bend it into any direction I want. That's the beauty of spline. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm just drawing with freeform. I'm just drawing with my imagination. Okay, just drawing with my imagination. I'm not drawing with any dimension. I'm just using my imagination to imagine half of the profile of a wine glass. Okay, so of course this is the side you hold. So I'm going to try to make it relatively straight. Okay, and then for the base, I'm just going to do this a little. Okay, and okay, so I'm going to right click and enter. So so this is what I have done. You can see this is what I have done. Now I'm going to give it a thickness. Because it's going to have a thickness. The wine glass has a wall. Okay, that's the glass. So I'm going to give it a thickness. So this particular stuff I did, I'm going to offset it. So I'm going to come to my offset. So I'm going to offset, select, specify offset distance. Let's just give it a thickness of 1 mm and 1, enter, and then I'm going to select the object I want to offset. Okay, so to any side, and I'm going to so escape. So I have tried to offset it. Okay, can you see what I have? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to join it so that it will let me join it with a line. So I'm going to zoom into this. Let me join it with a line so that it's going to look like an object. So they are not going to be different. I've joined the top. Let me go and join the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. You're going to be wowed by this. I promise you that. Okay, so I think this is the half of the half cross section of the wine glass. So I think that if I slice a wine glass vertically into two and divide the slice again from the center, I think this is the shape I'm going to get. Okay, now I'm going to join this. Remember, I'm performing a solid editing, so I'm going to join this thing. There are still different line segments. I'm going to join it to become one. I didn't draw with polyline earlier because of the complexity of this shape. I'm going to join it. So look at what we are going to do. We are going to look at what we are going to do. We are going to now before I join this, I think I want to, because I'm going to put my UCS here. I want this handle side to be totally straight. Okay, I want it to be totally straight. So there's something I'm going to do. Let me cut this side off and replace it with a completely straight line. I'm going to put another. I want to create boundaries. I want to trim. Okay, sorry, I want to trim. So let me pick line again, and I'm just putting boundaries. Okay, good. So I'm just putting boundaries. Okay, so I'm going to trim. Enter. I'm going to select this. Okay, now I'm going to replace this with straight lines. You're going to find out why I did that. I want this place to be completely straight so that I won't have difficulty aligning it with my axis of spin or axis of revolution. Good. So I'm replacing this with straight line. Don't worry. Okay, good. So this is what we have. I'm replacing it with a straight line. Good. So I replaced it with a straight line. Now, what am I going to do now? Initially I said I'm going to, let me bring this wine glass, let me bring it. I want us to be seeing it in all the viewports. Okay, I want us to be seeing it in all the viewports. So let me first of all arrange, especially my isometric, because it's going to look very, very Nice. Yeah. Okay. So I get back to my right viewport. Now I want to make this entire line one segment. So I'm going to do poly edit. It's called P edit. So I'm going to type it P edit, enter. It's polyline edit. Okay. Select polyline. So select polyline. So I want all of these to be one. I want all of these to be one. So okay. So I'm going to be selecting them one by one. I tried to select all of it once, but it didn't permit me. So okay, select polyline. Okay, I'm just going to select one initially. Okay, go select. Do you want to turn it into one? Yes. That's yes in brackets. I'm going to concur to that. Yes, that's with my enter. Then I'm going to say specify a precision. Specify a precision. I want to join it. I want to join it, join. Okay, so I'm going to select other objects. Okay, so all of it. This is everything I want to join. Enter. And enter an option. Join. I think I've done this already. Okay, join. I'm going to select all of these. Let's select all of them. Enter and close. No. I think this is wrong. Okay, so I'm going to do Ctrl Z. I'm going to do Ctrl Z. Let's go back to the P edit. Let's go back to the P edit. I said P edit. That's polyline edit. P edit. Enter. Okay. It says select polyline. So I'm going just to choose any part of it. You choose any part of it, and it's asking me if I want to turn it into one. Yes. Enter. And what's this is asking me to join, enter an option. So I want to join all of them. So I'm selecting everything I want to join, and I'm going to say okay, that's joining. I'm still in the selection because I'm selecting all of it. Then I'm going to hit my enter, and enter an option, enter again. Okay, so can you see? No, I'm still, this is not, it's not working yet. It's not working yet. Okay, let's now before I loft, I'm going to bring my UCS, and I'm going to align it to the axis I want to loft. Okay, so I'm going to type UCS, that's my inverter coordinate system, enter. Can you see it? Now I'm going to bring it to this place. So good. I'm going to align it to here. Remember, that was why we had to use a straight line here. I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to, let me put back my auto on. So I'm going to make sure it's straight this way, and I'm going to make sure it's straight this way. Okay, so this is my UCS. So before you revolve, you must put your UCS on that axis you want to revolve about. So I have put my UCS there. So now I'm going to select my revolve too. So I'm going to go and select my revolve. I'll select my revolve and say select objects to revolve. Okay, so definitely I'm highlighting all of it. I want to revolve all of this. So I'm going to my enter. Specify which axis. Now, which axis do I want to revolve it? Is it X or Y? So is it X or Y? I want to revolve it around, which axis is it? I want to revolve it about around X axis. So the vertical one is X. So I'm going to select X axis. I'm going to select X, enter. Can you see what I have? Then it's going to ask, is it 360? Yes, enter. Good. Wow. So look at my isometric. Can you see my wine glass? So I have my wine glass. Okay, good. So this is my wine glass. Now, in case you think this is too fast, I'm going to undo it, and then I'm going to repeat this operation. If you think it's too fast, I'm going to undo it. So I'm going to do Ctrl Z. I'm going to do another Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. No, okay, I'll do that in this. So I'm going to do Ctrl Z, okay, and Ctrl Z. I want to take the UCS back to, okay. So I'm starting afresh. I've taken the UCS back to the normal position. I'm starting afresh in case you think this particular move is too fast for you. I'm taking it afresh. Now you know how we got to this profile. So okay, so from here I said we are going to take our UCS and align it, one axis of the UCS, we are going to align it to the axis of revolution. We're going to align one axis of the UCS to the axis of revolution, because that's what we are going to use to identify the axis for us to perform the revolve to. So I said we're going to type our UCS. Our UCS stands for Universal Coordinate System, in case you've not watched our earlier videos. Okay, so UCS, enter, and can you see my UCS is now movable, and now I have the chance to drop it wherever I want to. So I'm going to drop it at this point. Remember, I want to put it at this vertical place, so I'm going to drop it here. Good. Then I'm going to fix the axis. I'm going to just click along this side. I'll lock this axis, and then I'll do the same thing for the vertical. I'll put it on the vertical, so suppose my auto should be on, so that I won't have issues with finding my vertical axis. Okay, so and then I will lock the vertical axis. Good. So you can see my UCS. So this is my UCS. Is that clear? Now I have set my UCS. My UCS is now coinciding with the axis. Now I will now come and perform the revolve operation. So I'm going to select revolve. It's going to ask me select objects to revolve. So I'm going to highlight all of my profile, all of it. So I'm going to highlight all of it and hit enter. Then it's asking me for specify axis start point, specify axis start point, or blah blah blah. So the important thing is that now look at my axis. I have Y and X. Now this time I want to revolve it around the Y axis. Can you see the vertical axis is Y axis? So I'm going to type Y, enter, and that is my. And then it's going to ask me, is it total? Because it may not want to cover it up 360. So it's asking me the angle of revolution. It says yes, it has to be all 360. So 360, just I'm just going to select my enter. Okay, good. So I have my wine glass. So I could come to my isometric, and okay, again, let's pick our steering wheel and navigation, our orbit, and then we are going to try to turn this up and around, and then we are going to appreciate. Can you see what we have? So this looks beautiful. This looks very, very amazing. Okay, so I'm going to exit my navigation, my own navigation wheel, and then I'm going to go back to southeast isometric. Okay, so so we are done with our extrude, loft, and revolve, and then finally we want to look at the sweep command. So don't forget, if you have not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much as you do that. Okay, now let's take the last operation, the sweep operation. Now we use sweep basically when we are dealing with piping problems, when we are designing piping projects, or anything that has to do with routing. Now we want to route a particular profile along a path, so we always use sweep. Now there are two very important terms to note. When we are sweeping, is the profile and the path. Now the path is the line through along which the entire length of the pipe, that's the entire length, the pipe will run through, that's the path. And then the profile is the cross section of the pipe. So most times it's always circular, because we always in real life situations we basically use circular pipes to run our fluids, because if we use pipes with other cross sections, maybe triangle, square, it's going to have edges, and we know that pressure builds up at edges. So that's why we always use circular pipes, okay, for our flow. Now, okay, we are going to do this in our, what are we going to use? Okay, let's use our front viewport to do this. Let's use our front viewport. Now, we just basically want to draw. Okay, no, I'm going to do this in my top so that the profile will show in my front viewport. I'm going to do this part in my top. Okay, now we're just going to use a very simple L-shaped pipe. We are just going to use a very simple L-shaped pipe for this particular lesson. Okay, so, or we could just use a straight pipe. Let's use a straight pipe. Let's use a straight pipe for this particular lesson. Okay, so subsequently we can design more complex pipes. Okay, now for our sweep, remember we said that two things are very important in sweep, and those two things are your profile and your path. Those two things are your profile and your path. They are very, very important. So when you want to sweep, you must specify, you must draw a path, which is the length of the pipe, and then you must draw a profile, which is the cross section. Okay, so since we said we just want to use a very simple straight pipe, so the part of this pipe is just going to be a straight line. So I'll just draw a straight line. This time around, we are not keen on dimension this time around. Okay, so we're just going to draw a straight line. That's the length of the pipe. Okay, and you can see my pipe here. You can see, where is my pipe here? Okay, remember we said if we want to find it easily, we'll always, okay, so okay, good. It's going to just be a dot here in the front viewport. It's just going to be, and then let me, okay, and then on the isometric viewport, good. We on the isometric viewport, we have this, good. Okay, so this is the line. Now I return to the top viewport, so I have my profile, I have my path. Okay, I have my profile, my path, sorry. Now the profile we said is a circle, so I'm just going to draw a little circle here. Just going to draw a little circle. Good. Just going to draw a circle. Good. Like I said, I'm not so keen on dimensioning right now. So I have my profile, I have my path. Now we go to sweep. So I'm going to select the sweep operation. Okay, now select objects to sweep. Now I want to sweep this circle. Okay, so I select the circle, enter, and then select sweep path. I want to sweep it along this path. Good. Can you see? We have a pipe. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. So assuming this my pipe now, assuming this my path runs through different lengths and then changes direction at different places, I'm just going to draw it as a line. And then once I sweep it, it becomes a pipe instantly. So this is very, very simple. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to shell it. Of course, you know that it's still a solid pipe, and we are most likely going to want it to be hollow. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do would be to what? To shell it. So I'm going to go back to my shell. So I'm going to select my shell. This time around, I want to do that in my isometric viewport where I can see the edges. So it's saying select 3D object. So I'm selecting the pipe which I want to shell, and then it's saying remove faces. So I'm removing this face. I'm removing this face, and then I'm going to turn it around again to see the other face. Okay, so I'm going to use this orbit and turn it to see this other face. Okay, good. So I'm going to escape this too. So I'm going to select this face also to remove. So I'm removing this face also. Remove faces and enter. Okay, now it's going to ask me enter the shell set distance. Let me just use 1 mm. Let me use 1, enter. Okay, and okay, I think I've done this wrongly. I think I've done this wrongly. Okay, I think I've done this wrongly, so I'm going to do my controls. Okay, let me go back to that let me go back to that sweep stage. Okay, so I select my object to sweep. So I'm going to select my circle and enter and select sweep path. I'm going to select my what are we doing? Okay, sweep. So I'll select circle, enter, and I'll select the. Okay, so we are back to this stage. So we have done this. We are back to this stage. So we want to shell. Okay, so I'm going to select my shell. It says select 3D. So I'm selecting this, and then remove faces. I'm going to remove this face. Remove faces, and okay, I've selected one face to remove, and this other face, so I'm going to turn it. I have to turn it to see that face. So I'm using I have to turn it to see that face. Okay, and so select faces. I'm going to select this face also, and I'm going to say enter. So, and it's as it's okay. Let's use 0.5 as thickness for the pipe. 0.5, enter. Good. So you can see what we have. I can now exit. So you can see what we have and exit. So you see what we have now. When I when I turn this around, I think we're going to appreciate it the more. Okay, so like, I want us to see through this. Can you see it? Can you see the pipe? So we are seeing through the pipe. So this is how to use our sweep. Remember, after sweeping, once since it's a pipe, we have to shell it. Okay, so this is what we have. And okay, so I'm going to escape this orbit and I'm going to go back to my southeast isometric. I'm going to go back to my southeast isometric. mm, Southeast isometric. Okay, so this is all we have done for today. This is all we have. So, okay, I'm going to return this to a single viewport, right? So I'm going to return this to a single viewport, okay, because we are done with our drawing. Sorry, we go to our visualize, we go to viewport configuration, and then we are going to do single viewport. Okay, good. So I've returned this to single viewport. So this is everything we have done for today. All right, so remember, we started with our extrude. We used it to draw a table, and we looked at our loft. We used that one to draw a funnel. We did our revolve. We used it to draw a wine glass, and then finally our sweep. We used it to draw a straight pipe. Okay, so now I'm just going to maybe just let's turn this in this axis. Okay, so I'm going to do 3 bits. I'm just going to turn this around in all the axes so that you're going to appreciate everything we have done. Okay, so look at this. Okay, orbit, and okay, free orbit. Good. So I'm just going to try and this. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, so you can see what we have done for today. Okay, so I'm putting it in continuous orbit. Good. So you can see what we have done. So yeah. Okay, I think I can revolve around. It's good. So this is what we have done. So you can see the object, they are complete solids. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your time. Don't forget to like our video, don't forget to share, and most importantly, if you have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.